Hey friends, welcome to the show. I'm Joe, and today we're going to just examine an academic business model. We've never had somebody like this guest on the show before. This one's either solving the America's teacher shortage or exploiting just desperate school districts, and we've got to figure out which one of the two is actually happening. So please welcome Dr. Matthew Flippin, founder and president of Gracelyn University. Matthew, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Joe, it's great to be with you. I love you so much and have so much respect for the work that you've done. So thanks for inviting me on.
Okay, so I'm your seatmate on a plane, and we're heading to someplace today that maybe has some air traffic controllers working. And and you asked me, "Hey, what do you do?" And I say, "Well, I hang out with inspiring, very influential, intelligent people and system leaders in education." And now it's my turn, Dr. Matthew. What is it that you do?
Well, today, I lead the organization that we started about 5 years ago. Very intentional about addressing the teacher shortage challenge. I've got a huge heart for vulnerable children, and there are a lot of vulnerable children in our U.S. Schools that walk in the classrooms every day where there's an unqualified teacher there. It's not the school system's fault. Right? There's some systems issues that have made it hard to recruit and retain educators, but that doesn't help. I always talk about Lucas, right? Lucas is behind a couple of grade
Mm.
levels, and he needs a great teacher to help him catch up, or life's not going to go well for him. And so I'm have the honor to lead Graceland to solving that teacher shortage issue.
This mission that you're on, folks, it's literally when you look at the gap that is there that Matthew and his team are looking to occlude. There is just a lot of heart work involved in that. But I really want to drill in. Let's start with the numbers that make I think make people really excited or really suspicious, honestly, because when you first unpacked your business model and
Oh, sure.
shared how you are actually solving this problem, I had a great deal of disbelief. I'm just being honest.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah. We get
so
that all the time.
traditional universities are training teachers probably 35 to maybe 50 grand for a total package,
That'd be
um, and
that'd be okay.
you're you're charging a small percentage of that, and many of your students actually have scholarships even beyond that. In
Sure.
what universe does this actually pencil out, Matthew? I
Yeah.
don't understand it.
Yeah, when we first identified, like, who do we want our students to be, right? So if we're gonna solve the teacher shortage crisis, the qualified teacher shortage crisis, who are the best students for that? Well, we identified that the paraprofessional, the teacher's aide that's already in the building has already demonstrated the heart and grit, and so they're best qualified to upskill, but they can only afford $100 a month. And so the challenge was, can we build a system that is hyper focused on serving their needs and getting them through the degree program for $100 a month, which translates to $5,000 for the entire degree, including books and fees, $44 a credit hour. And so, reverse engineering that, leveraging process automation, there's so many little systems things, using adjunct instructors that are K-12 educators with advanced degrees, who are committed to the mission as well. Lots of system things that say $100 a month is sustainable, requires no government funding or participation, and allows us to scale in a way that will, we pray, ultimately see every child have an incredible teacher.
So you're not taking federal funds, no government subsidies. You're 70% cheaper than the national average. And you're saying it's about efficiency and mission, not necessarily cutting quality. You are paying your staff. You're not
Yes.
filling your class. You're not filling your classrooms with thousands of students.
No, no. And I mean, it's 100% online, right? So that helps with the cost from a cost standpoint. When you don't participate in federal financial aid programs, you actually reduce your administrative cost burden drastically. And so, part of our model is how do we get somebody to apply and get all the way through the enrollment process in 7 minutes or less, right?
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
because if it's 7 minutes, there's almost no cost tied to that. And if we make the applying for an institutional scholarship, which and a lot of times, people would say, well, that's like a 50% discount, right? If we make that process very seamless, if we streamline the program sequence. So, for example, you tell us you want to be an elementary teacher, and we say, great, here are the exact 40 courses that you're going to take in row. Do you need an academic advisor, or do you need a success coach
Uh,
you can call when you're struggling,
right.
right? You
You
don't
gotta
need it.
reframe some of the services to actually, create the supports that actually challenge the students to grow and
Yeah,
go as fast as you need them to go. Yeah.
yeah. And I think when people initially think about, well, it's online, it's really affordable, but I mean, how do you really build relationships, right? It's asynchronous, so there's no live classes. Because again, our audience, 65% of them are single moms. They're struggling to, financially. They've got significant trauma in their backgrounds. The national average is they graduate from university 10% of the time, right? But with
That particular profile of a student. Right.
that profile of a
Got it.
student, 10% of the time. That is not well published, but when we look at traditional institutions and we say, how many students can you take that have this likelihood of success? You can't fill your university with them because you lose your accreditation if only 10% of your entire body, right? But we say we want 100% of that student profile. I want every one of my students to be a paraprofessional teacher's assistant that's got a really hard story. Now, why do I want that? Because they're going to connect best with kids. They've already lived that journey and they've already proven they can do the work,
Oh my goodness.
right?
Yeah.
And so, what do you think our retention rate is when we intentionally design in relationships, encouragement, shared experiences? Would you be shocked to hear that it was 92%, right?
I wouldn't because I've already seen the numbers, right? I've seen
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
seen roll credits at the end. You have built something that most would just say, "You've created inevitability out of an impossibility." That's what
Sure, sure.
you've
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
before we go any deeper, I need to just understand you, Dr. Flippin. You're not a career educator. You kinda started in the tech world, didn't you?
Sure.
How did a tech sales guy become find himself running a university today?
Yeah, that is a great question and one I ask myself, often because, we were joking about, the 25-year-old version of me would be like, "What? You're running a university? You don't even like school," right? And, so, God has had me on an interesting journey. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur, since I was in my 20s and I actually worked in about 8 or 9 different industries. And over that time, God was taking my really heart for the vulnerable and for the hurting and helping me see how business and serving could ultimately, make a difference for people in hard situations. This Gracelyn itself, right, came about really of just seeing that there was this massive need and really caring about the kids that this was hurting, right? If I'm a
Yeah.
vulnerable kid in a hard place and I don't get the education I need, how do I get out of the cycle that I'm in?
I
Yeah,
love the fact that you're a builder. You're not just a dreamer. Yeah,
sure.
I have dreamt about it breaks my heart that there's 1.2 million people already working in schools, right? But
As
we
teacher's
we
aide.
have this massive teacher shortage. That
Mhm.
breaks my heart. Not just certified teachers, but professional educators that have a calling and a love for that
Yeah.
worthiness of the work. We don't need more teachers. Can we just agree that we don't need more teachers? I think we have enough. I think we need more of the right kind of teachers, right?
Sure.
So I've sat back in dream world, but you've actually now moved into build world right? So a system engineer looks at like supply chain and inefficiencies and all that beautiful mind that God has given you to do this unthinkable work, and it's working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Now, when we started, of course, people were like, "Can't do that." There's no way.
Yeah, of course.
You can't build a university for $44 a credit hour. You can't, you can't. But, that's not that it makes sense to me. And you look at it now and you're like, wow, I really understand, the structure behind that. Being 100% focused on educating educators. I
Hmm.
mean, that decision alone, that it's in our mission statement, our organization cannot go into other professions, right? That we're only focused on this industry. That alone creates all kinds of effectiveness and
Yeah,
efficiency that is unique, right? It's unique in the traditional, in the higher education market, as you know. Right?
absolutely. Yeah, so you're painting a picture. You've got Lucas as a student, right?
Mhm.
As a student in school, not necessarily your student, but
No,
you also have probably a personification of one
sure.
of your students. And I think of lunch lady that has just the right wearing the team
Right.
jersey, right?
Yeah.
I'm there for the right reasons, but I'm dreaming about there's got to be something more. Got to
Yes.
be
Yeah.
how. Tell me, how do you catch their attention? How do you draw them into your program? What is your what's your go to
Yeah.
market strategy, Doctor Flippin?
Yeah. What's our hook?
What's
You
your
know,
hook?
this has been one of the revelations that about this work that I probably should have known ahead of time, but it still surprised us. You know, when we started this, we started with a big survey, right? We gathered 3,000 results from teachers' aides, across the country. We asked them, "Do you want to be a teacher? If yes, what are the barriers that you face?" So 90% said, "I want to be a teacher." And I'm a single low income mom with a significant trauma in my background, right? I mean, there's significant barriers. And I've got $100 a month. So we're like, okay, well, if we build that,
Hmm.
would you want to apply? 100% said yes. I would like to. So it took us about 9 months to get to a point where we could start offering, programs, and we sent a note out. Hey, apply. 2% applied. And I thought, okay, we have missed something here. We designed exactly what you said. We offered it to you. The application's free, right? And yet we get 2% respond.
But as you study market trends in any sector, a 2% click rate, if you will, or a return of a massive email
Sure.
blast, where 2% is kind of that's the average in the
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
world. So you hit standard with 2%.
Well, 2% won't address the need. So of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
I'm not happy with that. So we asked some people and they said, when your profile student has this kind of story, fear and self-doubt is actually their biggest barrier. They've went through so much that they don't believe they're worth it, they're worthy of it, that they deserve it, that they can do it.
Wow.
So how do you overcome that? And what's so amazing about how we're designed is that, and I actually just learned something about this recently about the neuroscience of confidence, that I can take some of my confidence and I actually can infuse that into your brain by saying that I believe, Joe, that you would make a great teacher, for example. And if trusted authority figure in your life. And so we started reaching out to campus principals saying, "Hey, do you have great people on your campus?" And we think about Abby. Abby is my persona, right? You have great people on your campus like Abby, who loves kids, has a hard backstory, wants to be a great teacher. You think they'd make a great teacher, but they don't have a path. And what all principals say pretty much is, yes, I've got great people. They don't have a path. And we say, well, hey, if we could help them for, in most cases, $100 a month, get on the path to a degree in education certification. Would you share a nomination with them? Would you nominate them to come look at Gracelyn as,
Brilliant.
as an opportunity?
Somebody that they know, because you're on the outside. You're
They
an
don't know
outsider.
us, right? They
Yeah.
don't know us at
But
all.
somebody that they respect, has positional authority, and hopefully also has a heart for people that
Yes,
has deposited many times into this particular woo
yes, and done right, we'll see like a 60% application rate.
through
Uh,
through the nomination
Through the
process.
nomination process. Yeah, really amazing. Amazing to see how that spoken word, I speak life into you,
Mm,
casts a new vision, gives you the confidence to get started. Once you start with us, you're going to experience so much encouragement and support, very applicable learning. So you can take what this week and I can apply it immediately to being a better teacher. And adult learning theory supports all that, right? The more I
that's
can
right.
immediately apply it, and that leads to like, well, why would I not keep doing this, right? I'm here for impact anyway, and I'm already making a better impact by being part of Graceland.
So you are accredited, correct?
We are credited through DEAC.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
and
what I need to know, what our listeners are probably needing to know is, okay, you can graduate, but how many actually graduate and actually are teaching? Because
sure.
that's part of the problem is we are graduating people with education degrees, but many of them are not teaching for whatever reason. How have you how have you closed that gap?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a great question. So, one, you've started with people in the building already. Right. So you start with people in the building already in an educator role. You've gotten them nominated by their principal who said, "Hey, I want you to do this because obviously I want you to come work for me as a teacher." And so, most of our students have 6 years of experience already. So if you know the like 5 years is the cutoff of like, oh yeah, if you make it 5, well, think about our population is already at 6, right? So
They're already bought in. They're already
all
bought in.
well,
My car is gonna go to this parking lot for the rest of my life.
that's right. So it wouldn't surprise you that 100% of our graduates are teaching, right? I mean, they're right teaching, and so our employment rates are, you know, and some would say, well, you're cheating a little bit because you only recruited people that were already inside of a school building, and like, well, yeah, I mean, or we smartly designed a system that upskills people into a role they already love doing.
Well, you can call it cheating, but I referenced, a study that was done by NPR, a year or so ago.
Okay.
They found that 900 school districts, are throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at, programs that lack empirical data that says that growing your own teachers actually works.
Mm,
There's
mm,
a ton of failed experimentation out there.
mhm.
So, you've learned to call it a hack. I don't know,
Sure. Yeah.
but that cheat code is altering lives
Yeah,
at this moment.
and there's a couple pieces about the way we go about that very intentionally, right? So assume everybody that's in our program has a hard backstory, right? Well, if we can shift the mindset about why you went through that hard story and connect that to a purpose that actually God has a purpose for you in that story that you'll be able to minister as a word or speak to or relate to a child in your classroom that's got the same hard story they're going through.
Mm,
If you connect your why to something that is such a high calling, how could you ever do anything other than what your life has experiences have prepared you for? And that's very intentional in the design of our content. That thread is throughout courses. It's really beautiful to see people stop looking at their hard things as being a victim of that
right.
to a preparation for a higher purpose that God has in store for you.
So you're a Christian university. I mean, that's just, you don't hide that.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
but it's you offer a biblical world view to the
Sure.
foundation of your teaching. My guess is if there's somebody that is not a professing Christian, they're still allowed into the program.
Oh yeah, of course, of
Of
course. Yeah.
course.
I mean, most of our students, I would say, are at different journeys in their faith. That some have, you know, are barely exploring that, and some have, you know, been followers of Jesus for a long time. But you know, we want everybody to come and be part of our program. We definitely believe Jesus taught in a way from a servant leadership and really just loving people where they are. That if more of us could just even live like that, serve like that, teach like that, boy, our society would be just really incredible.
If we just get honest and think about some of the most renowned educators and leaders throughout history, the ones that are doing the most good,
Sure.
um, many, if not all, have pointed to my model teacher is
Yeah.
Christ himself. So you can't hide from, and you think about just if you did a survey and said, hey, do you think we need more or less love in our schools? Do we need more or less joy in our schools? I'm
Mhm.
preaching now. Do we
Well,
need more or less patience
faith
in our
is, yeah.
schools? Do we need more or less temperance and all of the
Well,
fruit,
faith,
that come,
hope. I mean,
all of that? Nobody's going to argue it.
that's
So
right. I mean, hope alone as a core character trait, you know, hope of positive things to come. I mean, we know from, you know, decades of research how important just that one trait is, and believing that children have value, right, and that they can do better. I mean, think of all the studies that have documented how important it is for us to view have that view as educators and leaders in general, right? You know,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. If you're going to transform something, that only comes from somebody that has first been transformed. So
yeah,
we're talking some serious truth. You just released a book, Win with Your Talent Pipeline.
yes, yes,
Okay? What was the reason for writing that book?
yeah. You know, there are. Yeah, thanks for asking. I mean, one, this is like the advanced version of the dissertation work that I did. That was
Who's it
really,
aimed for? Who did you write it for?
yeah, it's really for district administrators, campus leaders to say, hey, there is a very specific design to upskilling your talent that's in your building, so that if you'll implement these 12 pillars, right? You know, I have to implement all 12, but there are some real key ones. Nominating your staff is one. Having an affordable program, you know, of course, is part of it. But if you'll implement those with fidelity, then you will not have a teacher shortage. And we've got some great examples in there about one, you know, probably 12 to 14 case study stories that are incredible. We've got an example where one district has 60% of their paraprofessional staff are enrolled with Gracelyn. I mean, and they've got more potential educators than they have positions available. And that's a beautiful thing because they are like, yeah, but we're seeding all the neighboring districts are also going to get their shortages addressed because of the work that Graceland's doing in our district. So, a
So
lot of,
where are you going? Yeah, I need to know because you're not only very sound as an operational leader, I know how strategic you are. So let's just go 2030. What's
2030.
yeah,
Sure.
what's happening? What bell are you gonna be ringing in
Right.
2030?
Yeah. You know, I mean, because right now the data says there's 600,000 underqualified educators in schools across the country. So in the US, we'd love to see 100,000 of those being solved by Graceland in the US. Around the world, there's a 10 million shortage of teachers.
So
And
you're
so,
not just looking at our domestic borders. Yeah, I mean, there
no,
is a real crisis there right now that you are hustling
sure,
after right now,
sure.
but you're saying that the potential of reaching 100,000 students
Yeah,
by we're not gonna put a
plus
date
or
on it,
minus, plus or
but it
minus.
is, it's a viable pursuit. But beyond that, there's also this global need.
Oh, sure. You know, so we're translating our first programs into Spanish right now to help serve the Latin America market. You know, there's roughly 1 billion people that speak Spanish, and there's a massive teacher shortage. You know, in many of our Latin American countries, And we look at, in Africa, right? There's this incredible population of young people that are growing up, but there's a shortage. India, Asia, so many great places that we'd love to be part of helping them solve that because our model is so affordable, and we're continuing to work on it so that we can even get it more affordable for some of the poorest countries in the world. Why should they miss out if we have the ability to design a system that could give them incredible educators?
I cannot think of a more worthy work for
Yeah,
somebody to
thank
be working on. And the human in you is very, very real, but we're gonna
you.
put it to the test right now. We gotta come in for a landing. I wish we had a little bit more time, but
Sure,
we do a lightning round and, business brain guy, I'm gonna have you unpack this thing. Don't overthink these answers,
sure,
okay?
okay,
Don't
yeah, of
overthink.
course.
But what's a quote that you live by?
I mean, my favorite one is do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in all things consider other needs before your own.
So good. A
Yeah.
book, one book that every team you believe should read.
Yeah, yeah. I really love this book, Leadership, Self-Deception. And is it just a great case study about how, as leaders, we really need to be humble and great listeners, but we can deceive ourselves into thinking we're strong. And so, big fan of that.
Unpaid advertisement there. Whoever wrote that book, best advice you've ever received, Matthew.
Yeah, best advice ever see. Don't take yourself too seriously. Be sure to be able to laugh at your mistakes and celebrate the wins. But either one of those, don't take it too seriously.
I can see that. One word to describe your leadership style.
I think collaborative. Probably I pray my team says that.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. If you were not running the joint at Graceland, what are you gonna be doing?
Well, playing with your grandchildren. That's my most favorite thing to do. But God has pointed me one direction at a time, and so when we really look at how far can Graceland go to address this need, there's a lot of runway that we need to address, and so until every child has an incredible teacher, we've got work to do.
I love it. Well, you've already answered this one, but the 25-year-old Matthew, what's he thinking about what you're doing right now?
He is laughing, saying, "How in the world did you get into that position?" You know, which other people say that too. And I say, hey, I didn't pick this. I'm just on the ship. There's a guy that's leading it, and
Somebody's got a sense of humor up there.
he asked me.
Name a leader that you model yourself after.
And there are a lot of great leaders, and I've had the opportunity to be up next to some really incredible ones, servant leaders for sure. But that servant leader model comes from Jesus, and so if I lead like Jesus, man, I want to be more of use and like Him, every day.
Looking back 20 years ago, what was right then that you now think, "Ugh, that was a little bit off"?
I think, and many of us would say this at our younger selves, right, about where our worth comes from, right? Is my value in my bank account, right, or is it in the people that I serve? And now it is how many people have I guided to reaching more of the potential that God has given them.
Yeah, worthy work.
Yep.
This is the no duh question. Is Graceland a calling or a career for you?
It is a calling. It is a calling. I don't really know what a career looks like. So, it's one calling after another. So,
Here's, I think, the most interesting question of the day. Will AI replace teachers before you solve the teacher shortage?
yeah, it's a great question. I think the short answer is no. AI will not rotate place teachers, but what teachers do needs to change, and will adjust. You know, there are so many children that are coming out of hard places, and who is going to help convey that they have value? Who's going to teach them character, right, and citizenship and all the things that we need as to make us people? And there are a lot of parents that are working hard, and so their kids need to go someplace where that work continues to develop great people that reach their potential, and they need to that needs to happen through relationships. We know so much about the brain right now, and that's just always increasing. And so there are things that our minds need, our bodies physically need positive touch,
Yeah.
right? And that is going to be most facilitated by great teachers that are relational, love kids, have a servant's heart, and the grit to put up with the challenges that our kids, bring to classrooms at times.
So good, so good. Our audience are educational leaders, both in higher ed and K-12. So I would say if you are a superintendent out there, you've really got two choices. You can keep complaining about the teacher shortage and be victimized by it, or you can call Gracelyn and kind of test the model. So if they want to learn more about your program, Matthew, where would you direct them?
Sure, Gracelyn.edu. It's fantastic. Definitely you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Love to do that. I'm hosting a podcast as well about
Ah,
transformational educators.
I've seen some of your stuff out there. It is it's a step above what you're sitting in right now, boss. It's good
No, no.
stuff. It's good stuff. But also, if you're a paraprofessional and you want to teach, you also have two choices. You can keep waiting for the right time and just hoping your ship comes in, or you can also apply. Same web address. Right,
Yeah,
Matthew?
same web address. Application's free. Love to have you come alongside and we guide you on your journey.
And it's a matter of weeks. I mean, you just can get people into your pipeline in a matter of weeks, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Any last words, Matthew, for our listeners out there?
No, I think, I want people to be encouraged. I want them to say, hey, yeah, there's a struggle out there. Graceland wants to partner and say, hey, let's work on this together, because there are some real feasible solutions that can help some of these challenges improve. And we'd love to be a part of that.
Well, I have been just so attracted to your mission, because I think it's worthy work, and you're building an entire loving community around that work, and you're reclaiming a ton of suffering out there, because that's your target market, that's your pursuit, and I can't think of any more worthy work, Matthew. So thank you for spending some time with us today on the show, and I guess that's it, folks. We will see you next week. Peace.